Your turn.
That's one tank of air.
You want,
No. I can talk loud. If you can't hear me, it's your problem.
I'm hooked up on a hooker.
You're what?
You're a hooker? If that didn't come out right, is it a hooker or hook?
Hookah.
Yeah, that thing. But hookers are better anyway.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
Okay, so here's the funniest darn thing well, not the funniest thing, this is pretty good. We got the way this all worked in the Dominican Republic is we would get 50% of everything we found, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. And it went really well. The first, 5 years, Dave? Yep. About the first 5 years. By the way, Dave Clark is...
Really quiet.
Okay, I'm really quiet. Is it working? Yeah. Anyhow, Dave Clark here is one of my business partners, and we had a lot of fun down there. Did anybody here know Bill Glodowski? No? You did. Bill was a good friend of ours who passed away with Dave and I down there as we were diving. And that happens. Mel Fisher lost 5 guys, including his son and his daughter-in-law. So it happens in this. This is not it's just as dangerous as the stuff you guys do. So, stand up, would you, please? Oh, give me a break. Stand up. Okay, see this on his arm? What's that say, Dickies? So in my first division of artifacts, I found this in my division. What's it say?
I don't know, I can't see.
Oh, you old guy. It says Dickies.
Does it?
Some fisherman had gone over top of our shipwreck and had broken his zipper, and he threw the thing out, and the Dominican government didn't know what it was, and they gave it to me. So I have, this is off a shipwreck from the Revolutionary War. So, we're going to try and be pretty quick here. So if you have questions, too bad. What this is a map here. You might recognize this is a map, right? This is America. These are the 4 trips of Columbus. Did he ever make it to America?
No.
No. And I own, right now, Dave and I own Columbus's personal journal. And I've checked it against every other journal from the first voyage, and there are 22 major discrepancies that would change history. We've had it translated, and we have a tentative deal struck with Sinclair to do a 52-episode TV show on what we've got going on here. But anyhow, that's another story. So go to your next page, Kerr, please. This is the Dominican Republic. When we started diving, we worked right here in Samana Bay. And the first ship we ever worked on was a ship called La Scipione.
What's your depth?
30 feet. And that's a really nice depth because it's less than 1 atmosphere. So you can go down, come up all day. You can get 8 dives a day without any trouble. But you get tired.
No decompress.
No, you don't decompress on that. But I'll pass these around. This is a musket ball from La Scipione. Just take a quick look at it. That ship fought in three battles. The first one was the Battle of Virginia Capes in the Revolutionary War under the command of George Washington. You might have heard of that guy. The next battle was the Isle of the Saints. And the third battle was in the Mona Passage, where it took on the London, the Tarbay, and the Badger. And it blew the masts off the Tarbay. They landed on the London. They sailed away, turned into Samana Bay, and they struck a high deep, which is a coral head right about there. They didn't know those coral heads were there. The ship sunk in 20 minutes. We found hundreds and hundreds of pieces. We brought up over 10,000 artifacts off of that ship. They're in museums all over the place, and I got a bunch of them here. This here is a raw flint. This would be for a musket. And just start this right here and pass it around. Just take a look at that. They had formed that and shape it to the gun it was going to be used on. We found a whole bunch of this stuff. This would be the stuff. This is resin. And they would use that for patching ships. And on La Scipione, there was a bunch of that. We found massive sheets of copper, lead, all things they could use to repair the boat. It was one of the first copper-bottom boats ever built. And La Scipione was commissioned in 1776. Now there's an interesting date, eh? And by 1780, it was serving and came up into Chesapeake Bay and fought in the Battle of Virginia Capes, sailed 19th on the line. Lots of these artifacts. Now, one of the problems with working in the ocean is the salt water. This is a cannonball.
Was.
Yeah, it still is. But it's kind of messed up cannonball. We brought it out of the water, and I didn't do anything to preserve it. And this is what happens to them. This happens to cannons, happens to cannonballs, anything steel will fracture because the salt penetrates it, and the salt dries and cracks. Wood. We found timbers, beautiful timbers. We found, next picture, Care Bear. There's our boat. We originally named it the Captain Tracy. We changed that, and we called it the Carly Ann, after my oldest twin. And then we had another boat come down called the Carrie Lynn, after my daughter Carrie. This is a block. This is a rigging block. This is a smaller one. This is off of a cannon. And when you get these, they look just like a brand new block. They look just like a brand new block when you get them. But the salt, we put these in fresh water in a tank for about a year, and then we bring them out, and even then they'll crack. The salt will still crack them. But we're able to save this one. I actually had BYU put this in their freeze dryer, and we freeze dried it. And after the talk, if you want to look at this stuff, go ahead. When you find an artifact, they're usually just like this. No matter if they've been in the ocean for a couple of years, they're just a mess of stuff. And I was asked tonight, how do you find out what it is? Well, I take a hammer to them. I'm really careful.
Well, what year did this ship go down?
She went down October 26, 1782. Not that I keep track of that stuff or anything. This here is a buckle off of a boot. This is a French buckle.
She was alive for 6 years?
The average life of a ship in that time period is 5 years.
15 to 20 if they don't have battles.
Yeah. This here, we don't know what it was. It's a little tiny, tiny pulley. And I have 3 books on the 74-gun ship, and I can't find anything like this on the 74-gun ship. Carrie, next picture, please, honey. Now, this thing on the back, that's called a blower. And we had a 44-inch prop on this boat, and we could roll that down over the prop. I could blow a hole in 150 feet of water, deeper than what I would want to dive. But we could blow a hole as big as this room, and every artifact in that hole would be uncovered. Well, we're only at 30 feet.
And it's clear water.
Oh, we stopped blowing. When my divers go down, we stop blowing. Kim had Kim Fisher. I don't know if you know Kim. That was Mel's boy. He had a little boy, 12 years old, go through a blower. And you don't live going through a blower. When we blow, we never have a diver in the water. I'm the only guy that goes in the water when the blower is running, and I lock the blower in place, and I come back out, and then they turn it on. And then once we've blown, then we go down and see what we got. And we find some pretty cool stuff when you blow it out, because every shipwreck has an anatomy, every one of them. And they're almost identical. If this were a shipwreck, up here above you would be cannons and anchors. Carrie, next picture. There's the blower. Look how big that is. Next. This is a 74-gun ship right here. And this is a copper-bottom boat. And that's what all these nails are, all these spikes. These are all from a copper-bottom boat. And this is the thickness of the copper. And so these boats could go faster through the water than any wooden boat. No barnacles. La Scipione, when she left Brest, France to come to Dominica, that boat traveled in 30 days. That was unheard of in those days. Next, please, Care. This is how a shipwreck looks. This was what we had on the ground on the sand. We had anchors and cannons. Then as you airlift or blow, this stuff disappears. Below those is where you'll find all your potteries, your gold, your silver. They work down in the in the ocean currents and the storms. They just sift it down and they go right down to bedrock. That's where you find the good stuff. You find really cool stuff up here. Right here. This right here. Carrie and I came back over into this area, and there was a big metal bar across here. Turned out to be the flagpole. And of course, when you got a book that shows you all the designs on a 74-gun ship from the 1700s, you can take that and you can find every artifact that we found on that shipwreck. Next. Oh, that was ballast piles. Yeah, those are all ballast piles. Iron ballast.
The little cloud.
That there?
Yes.
That was just dirt, but these here are great big barrels, big food barrels.
That was also ballast. Those were rocks, like loose stones.
They
that
put
went
them in the
into
barrels,
fill.
yeah.
By the way, Carrie dove on this wreck, 6 months straight?
Something like that.
Yeah, so, and you figure you're getting 5 to 8 dives a day. And she's, do you have a question?
Are you recruiting any divers?
No, not right now.
It wears you out.
No, not really. You get tired, but you go have dinner. Next, hon. Okay, now this is, when we first started, we were trying to be real scientific. That lasted about a week. But you can see here, this is my daughter, Carly, her twin sister, and she's down here drawing what we're seeing underneath these. And we would take pictures and come back up and decide what we want to go after. Next. That's a 3D drawing of the boat that we put together afterwards. Next. And that's the site. Does it look like a shipwreck? No, that's how the ocean is, right? It just hides everything. Next. Okay, now there's my my book. This here, did you find this, Carrie?
Is that a capstan?
No, that goes in, that was the damper handle on the pastry oven.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how specific these books were. Everything we found, we could tell which was the pastry oven, which is the meat oven. Next. This is Carly again drawing. Next.
So oh, I don't remember what that is. Never mind.
Okay, now, look at this. What do you see? Just yell out what you see there.
I see the bow.
A what?
The bow of the boat.
Where?
Can I point
Straight
out
ahead.
what we see?
No, let them decide what they see first. What can you see? Go ahead. What? This here? Okay, that's an anchor fluke. Okay, this is stuff that is heavy enough that the sand can't take it. The sand will hold it up. That's a cannon, right there. Those are cannonballs, right there. There's a cannon.
Does the can have any coral or just algae?
There's coral and algae on that and sulfides. And those, when we get them up, next,
They'll split apart.
that's me. That's a great gun. Oh no, that's an 18-pounder. That shoots an 18-pound cannonball, which is about that big around.
Wipes out the
Yeah. But that's all coral and stuff. Next, Carrie. Now, this gun here was made in 1770. And over here is the weight of it and the position. And so we knew every time we pulled up a gun or found a gun, when we cleaned it, we knew exactly where that gun was on that boat. We knew when it was built, the weight of the gun, and the position it had on the boat. And every gun hole has a number. And I think on this one it was a number 39.
And that's a chisel on top.
Yeah, you got to do something to get the dirt off them. Next, well, look at the sulfides here. That's that thick. I mean, you're not going to scrape that off with a toothbrush.
Well, people see that and they think it's a ski pole.
Yeah, there you go. Next. This here's an 18-pounder, and this here's its sister. Now, these here are ballast guns. And the way you know they're ballast guns is how they're bruised. A ballast gun will have the button broken, or this will be broken, and that way they can't be reused. And these were ballast guns. We brought these back next, Carrie, and we had them cleaned out, and then we rebuilt them. Next. And that's how it looked when it was done.
So what's the difference between a ballast gun and a cannon?
Well, the ballast guns were old guns that were shot out, and they lay them in the bottom of the boat instead of rocks.
They're counterweight.
Yeah, there's counterweights to keep the boat going straight. Now, you had what was called shifting ballast, so that when you're in a real, like the trades come up every day at 11 o'clock. Well, you set your watch by it. And depending where you are, your boat will list. So they could take shifting ballast and move it over and make the boat steady. And that's all, there was guys, some of those guys, that's all they did all day long was drag shifting ballast around. But this is that gun that we rebuilt, and we hauled this thing all over America to schools, teaching classes on the Revolutionary War. It was really fun. Next. Yeah, beautiful cannon. That is now in a museum in the DR. This here is not poop. This is ropes. And we found a way to cure these ropes. I mean, hard to imagine. Those ropes were from 1782. They've been in the ocean that long. And what you did with this is you took crazy glue and acetone, like you ladies use on your fingernails, mix them together, bring the rope up very carefully, lay it in the sun and let it dry. Then you pour the acetone and the crazy glue on it. The acetone evaporates, the crazy glue sets, and you got a solid piece of rope. Next.
And that's hemp.
That's hemp. Yep. Now this here, I found this jar underneath a cannon. See this? That letter? That's an A. Somebody on that boat owned that jar. And lucky enough, because it was a ship of the line, we had a crew manifest. There was only one person on that boat whose first name had the letter A in it.
And that's not a pee bottle.
No, it's not. That was a water or a wine jar. And that letter A, we found A-K-B 3 times. The guy's name was Adrian Berthholm. Now, if you were his son, would that have value to you? Oh, yeah. This guy fought in the Revolutionary War for America. Pretty amazing. And we built a little museum down there. It's a beautiful little museum. And this is one of the pieces we had at next. This is the guy who got me into treasure hunting the way I wanted to be. Tracy Bowden is his name. And Tracy had stuff from all over the Dominican. He'd been down there since 1976. And I went up to his house one day, and he had a room about like this, and there was silver coins in stacks, and a path through them. And those are some of the coins he'd brought up off of different shipwrecks, and he was doing an inventory. He has about 20,000 coins. And he's going to die with 20,000 coins. I don't get it, but good guy. These wine bottles, we actually found some that were still full. Next. This one here was one of my most beautiful discoveries that we ever had in a bottle. And we babied this thing. We put it in foam, rubber, in a bucket. We took it in, and the stupid idiot at the museum where we take the stuff picked it up by the neck and broke it. You just want to take them out and slap them, you know? Dumb as a rock. Next. This here was oil and vinegar. We found that in the kitchen area. That was salad dressing. Stunk. Oh, I don't know. I can't stand that stuff now, let alone 300 years old. Next. This is another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of pottery. Next. Now, we never threw away a piece of pottery. We always kept all the shards, and there's a reason for that. Next. There's that same piece of pottery reassembled in our museum. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our archaeologist, there he is, Alejandro Salmi, going through this and putting that back together and then gluing it meticulously together. And we had every single piece. Other guys would take those and throw them around and, oh, that's garbage. We kept it all. Next. These are, that one there I pulled out from beneath the cannon when I pulled out that one with the A on it. I didn't pull out this. These two, no, this one is the only one on that wall I pulled out. Next. Okay, what do you notice about this plate? It's cracked. It's more than cracked, it's broken. But what else do you notice? You had one plate. If you were a sailor on that boat, you had your own plate. That plate was dropped and broken, and the guy drilled holes in it and tied it back together so he'd still have a plate.
There were pieces of leather still in that plate when I found it.
Yeah, that's something Carrie found. That's pretty cool. Like, how many people in this room can say they found something that's been in the ocean that long? That's my little girl. Next, honey. Now this here's a cannon door. This is a gun door. That thing is 3 feet by 3 feet, and it's about that thick. And they'd pull those up and then run the guns out. It took 18 men to fire a 40-pounder. Next. Now, this is a fiddlehead block. That goes up in the upper gallants and the top gallants to raise the masts. We found, what, Carrie, 25 different blocks?
So many different kinds and styles and varieties, but this one's cool because it still has rope in it.
Yeah, you can see the rope in it and the pulleys. And there's the pulley shafts, too.
And those pulleys still turned.
Yeah, you had to clean them. You had to clean them out. You know, get the sand out of them and the coral, and you could turn them. This one here turned before I preserved it. Now it just lays there. Next. This is the monkhead block, and this was the last block on the top gallant. And that is absolutely beautiful. Next. There's the other side of it. Hard to imagine something that beautiful still in the ocean. Next. Oh, a whole bunch of them.
So something that happens to wood in salt water is you have a worm that eats the wood. You can see right here that there's some markings right there. That's actually where the worms could get in and actually eat that wood. So this site was really unique because the salinity of the water was so low that most of the time those worms couldn't exist. And so it preserved the wood to be this quality, as well as it preserved a lot of the iron that we saw with like the cannons and things. It preserved them so that when you brought them up, they looked exactly like they did when they went down, with the exception of a couple. So this was something you would see a lot on a shipwreck that was out in the open ocean, but here that didn't apply. So we were really lucky to be on that
And you
site.
have worms, if you don't have copper, the worms are a lot worse.
Yeah, it could be true.
Probably,
Yeah. This is interesting too, as you can see how loose these were. Like, these weren't bad. The pin was movable. You could push it and pull the pulleys off, put them back on.
Over the top.
Yeah, the rope would come here and hold that in place. Next, honey. We're going pretty quick here. Carrie, back.
Quick question, on the wood and stuff, how does being out of the ocean affect it? Does it dry out and break?
It would fall apart if you didn't treat it right. What we did with them, I'll show you some pictures coming up, how we did it. Here's a double.
So this is what they look like when they're in the dirt when you find them. And so this is perfectly preserved.
Yeah,
It was-
and the interesting thing is,
around.
you don't find it all at once. Can I borrow one of your crutches, please? Yes. When you find this, if I were to find this crutch, I might find this. And as we lift and airlift and keep moving, you still don't know what it is. And then you come down and you say, oh, this could be a crutch. And you come down and that's what you find. Like Carrie and I found some beautiful cannons, and it started with a little piece of metal like that. We found one that was laying at an angle like this, and it was still in the truck. And after we'd worked on it for probably 4 or 5 tanks of air, we come back up and started re-looking at it careful, and the wick, the fuse was still in the touch hole. I mean, this gun was loaded, and it was a big 40-pounder. This was like the nuclear weapon of its day. It had an active range of 1.5 miles, a deadly range. And the way they would shoot these things is they would shoot them as close to the water as they could, and they'd skip it across the water so they could, when it impacted the other ship, it would break it right at the water line, and down they'd go.
The two things they aimed for was the water line and the mast.
Yeah. Well, but they had special, I don't know if we, go ahead, Karen, next.
Special shot.
Who do you think that is?
It's a much younger version of me.
Still just as beautiful, though. Next. Now, this is a big triple. We brought up several of these. And this here, these are a couple of Tracy's guys. They wouldn't let me touch that. There I am bringing up the little one, you know. Those guys, they're terrible. I couldn't speak Spanish very good, and so they wouldn't help me. Next. Now, there's how we preserve them. We put them in water, in fresh water, and we turn the water out every 2 weeks. And you weigh them before you put them in the water. And that tells you how heavy they are. Then about every 6 months, you pull it out. And when it stops losing weight, you know the salt's out of the water. Then you can put sugar in the water, and it'll go into the spaces where the salt was, and the sugar doesn't expand when it dries. And you can preserve them. And then you can varnish them.
You'll still have cracking though. It's pretty much impossible to make
Yeah.
them stay
Yeah, but
in
I've
that
seen
condition.
wood just, like, once it dried, it just,
It just-
Well, and that's what happened here. When we put this in the freeze dryer, it dried too quick, and that's why it cracked. Had I that to do over again, I could have made that come out without a crack in it. And these here are dead eyes. We found these on that area that Carrie and I were working on together. These dead eyes, and there was 9 of these on each side of the back on the what we would call the stern by the captain's quarters.
Rear quarter.
Yeah. And there was 9 on each side. And that's how we knew where we were, because we had the books that showed us every single aspect of that boat.
what are those things on that side?
Over here, these dead eyes, depending on how you're sailing, if you need to tighten your masts or loosen them off, the ropes ran through these. And that's how you could tighten and loosen the masts. And you just kept them taut, so that when the guys in the bottom are doing the ballast, and the guys up here in the rigging were keeping the sails and the masts to the wind so they could run. Next. This is what the cannonballs looked like. This
You
here,
clean them. They don't look like that when you find them.
What do you guys do, throw them back under the water to take a picture?
no, we knock them around and then we bring them up.
And then you take them up, because otherwise you get all that coral crap all over your deck and it hurts your feet.
Next. Now this here is, you were talking about masts. This is one of the shells they would use for a mast. You see this here? This is burlap. And this is all encased in burlap. And there's like 20, yeah. But in a 40-pounder, they're like this.
And it wraps around the mast and snaps it.
No. When they come out of the
It's like a
out of the
musket.
bullet, or out of the barrel, this is all burnt off. The friction burns it off. And what you got is you got 25 to 30 of these flying through the air, taking out a group of guys like this. Yeah. Like a really big shotgun. Now, I'm going to pass this around. We'll start this right here. Look at this. This is the only one of these that's been found that we know of. When we found this, there was an archaeologist who said that they didn't know for sure that these existed. They had heard they did. This was a special musket ball that was used in railguns, and the French were the ones that invented it. And it would wobble through the air, and it would whistle, and it scared the living bejeepers out of people. And we've, as far as we know, that's the only one that's ever been found.
So the
Next.
shipwreck was amazing because you can still see that there's burlap there.
Yeah.
Like it is still there. So if you were to uncover that whole thing, it's pretty remarkable.
So is that a handle on the one end?
Here?
Yeah.
No, this comes like this, comes all the way down, and then this here is a flat, like a plate. And they would stand this up, and they would put this bag over this, and they'd fill the bag with all this stuff in a cone. And then they would tie that off, and they'd pull it out like this. That shell would be that high. Next, Care. And here's what the cannonballs look like when you bring them up. This is all different pieces of junk, and that's what Carrie's talking about. That's Joe's foot. Yeah, you can tell Joe's feet. He looks like a duck. He's a great guy. Next. And this is how artifacts were. That's a spoon. There's a weight. Like when they measured little weights and measures. That's a little weight there. And I preferred to keep them like this, but you take them into the museum and they just knocked these things apart. I think that was a mistake. I think they should have kept them as they were. Next. Now, this is really interesting. You all know what that is right now, don't you? Yeah, it's a musket. When we found this, Carrie and I found this working together, it was a bar laying on top of 2 cannons. And I go up to this end of it, and I decide it's time to get that bar off the cannon, and I grab it, and I pull it. And Carrie comes swimming over to me, and we go back, and right here, the coral had broken off, and you can see it was the the stock of a musket. And so we brought that up. And that thing is 62 inches long.
Wow.
And that was the first one we'd found, and by the end of that job, we'd found dozens of them.
Now, does that have a curvature to it?
Who?
It appears to have a curvature.
Yeah, it was crushed by the cannons. Yep. Next. Now, Carrie and I, we were all diving as a team, but Carrie is my partner. And so we went down, and there was two cannons like this, and then two like this, and that big bar over them, which was the flagpole. And Carrie and I went up, and we talked about it, and we went to Tracy and said, hey, we want to move our airlift and go over work between those. Go ahead. So we did. And we dug down, and that first big cannon we found was sitting like this, and down at the end of it was some woodwork. And then Carrie and I had to come home, flew home, and then Joe went down there and pulled up a box that had 600 coins in it.
Was that what the wood was under it?
Yeah, it was the captain's hold. And there was some really cool stuff. Next, honey.
Some of those coins, you could tell if they were in exceptional condition because of the weight. Like some of them just didn't weigh anything, and you knew that those ones weren't.
Are these
very
all
good.
silver?
No, those are all copper, and they're basically valueless. It's a stupid French, eh? I'm from Canada. French people, drive you crazy.
So sometimes there were no coins in those anymore.
Yeah, they just be gone. And most of them were 6 denarii. This guy. That's how he'd go. He'd be the first.
That bottle of wine?
He'd drink more wine than
Probably did.
he was a drinker, but he was the first one to find a rail gun.
Oh, yes.
Him and I were the only two people to bring up rail guns on this wreck. And they're both in museums. Now, this is Carrie again. And remember, she's my dive
Tell
partner.
them why they call it a rail gun.
Because they mounted it on the rail. And they would take these musket balls, and they put between 9 and 13 musket balls in one of those rail guns.
And shoot them at a group of soldiers.
Yeah, a bunch of guys. And they mounted on the rail.
Cannon crew.
They really made a mess of people. Anyhow.
Can I talk about this one?
Yes.
So this is the bottom of the boat.
Here, take it.
So this was the outside of the boat right here, underneath here. So when we went under there and we dug that all out, you could see that copper sheeting. And it was just like sheets and sheets of copper with these little brass nails just everywhere.
That
Just
was
divot, like,
amazing for 400 years.
oh, it was incredible because it looked just like super bright and, very, copper doesn't encrust the same way other things do. So you could just see, and all the brass doesn't really encrust at all. So you could see all of it just really nice. And when I went further down under there, I actually got my hair stuck on a nail and I couldn't get it unstuck. And I was like, this is how I die. I'm gonna die under this thing. So I ended up having to cut my own hair to get out. And then I went back there a different day and dug a little bit further down and I found a wash basin that was 16
Next
inches.
picture shows it.
It was 16 inches in diameter.
There it is.
And that was hiding underneath that area.
And what we did here is we just tapped it and found it was copper. So then we go back to the book. What was it, Care? Can you remember?
I can't remember.
It was the captain's wash basin from the captain's quarters. So we knew where we were on the boat.
Sailors got buckets.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Buckets of seawater.
Yes, they did. Their hair was very snarly.
Are
I
you
assume. I don't know.
That's cool,
Next
because
one, Kira.
it gives you the clue that, hey, we've got stuff out of the captain's.
Well, yeah, and every French ship of the line had two captains. De Gama and De Claval were the two captains on this boat. And now this is that mustard jar I found. There's something else in this picture. You can see the brass nails, but look at here. That's a navigator's pencil. And it's bent.
One of a mechanical pencil.
Yeah. It's a mechanical pencil. We also found the leads for them. Oh, there's lots of brass nails right there. And here's some brass nails. They're right here. When we're done, come up and take a look at them. They're actually pretty amazing. Okay, next. What might that be? Anybody got an idea? What is it? Binocular, telescope. Yep. We took that in, and I wanted to keep it like that, and the government tore it all apart. It's just 3 pieces of brass when you're done with it. Next. Okay, this is that pencil. This is part of a smoking pipe. That, I don't know what that was, but there's the Dickey pole chain right there. That is the best darn thing. I loved it.
You got an inkwell.
Yeah, that's an ink well.
A cufflink.
This is a stem off a smoking pipe. Yeah, there's a cufflink. I don't know what that was. It was something for opening and closing latches. This was part of a pair of spectacles. And the rest of it, who knows what it was. Now, we finished that shipwreck, and the government, we were working under contract with Tracy on that. And then the government gave us our own contract, and it was 65 kilometers long. And we went in here, this is Playa Grande. And you can't see them, but right here, there were a whole bunch of cannons in 4 feet of water. And everybody wondered what they were. Why were they there? Rah, 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 you know, anyhow. We also came in here and did an underwater survey using magnetometers. Yeah, we used mags in here. And we found 7 individual strong non-ferrous hits. A non-ferrous hit is what you're looking for. That's the noble metals. Later, right here, we found evidence of a French shipwreck. These cannons were all French cannons.
Were they brass or steel?
They're steel. Okay? The brass cannons were smaller. They're always smaller. They're like cannonades.
They cost a lot.
Yes. But these here guns were 18s and 36s. There was a boat called the La Viette that disappeared. Had on board $22 million in gold in 7 containers. And it was to pay the Polish mercenaries to put down the Haitian Revolution of 1793, which is also coincides with the French Revolution. And the fellow who sent that over was Napoleon.
Is that $22 million in today's money, or?
That money. There, it was to pay for 40,000 soldiers their wages to fight the Haitian people. The Haitians just kept backing up. Backing up. Those guys all died within 6 months from different jungle fevers. And that money was never found. The next thing that happens is we have a sale of property in America by France to America. It's called the Louisiana Purchase. And that's how Napoleon replaced that money. Now, we don't know if that was the same wreck. We never got onto it. But we did find, later on you'll see some silver dishes we found from that wreck. Where we worked in this bay was right here. Right in here. And right there.
Was this because of the magnetometer?
Yeah, well, we did a mag survey the second year we were in this bay. We found 7 shipwrecks in these 2 bays.
Wow.
Next, Care.
And the decision to where to start was wherever you wanted.
Yeah, it was up to us.
You just, yeah.
And the reason we started here.
That's where I want to go.
Did you have problems with anybody jumping your
No.
planes?
No, they had no idea what. You have. It would be like going to a group of kindergarten kids. They have no idea what. When we would hire a Dominican, we had to teach him sometimes just about how to swim. It was unreal. Of the 9 people we had, not one of them could write. And to give you an example, you'll be thinking I'm really racist. I'm not. I lived there. I liked them. They were good people, but they have a very different mentality. Father's Day was coming up, and I talked to Chicho, who's on our boat, and I said, Chicho, are you going to celebrate Father's Day? He says, why?
What?
He says, I have no idea who my father is. It could be any one of 9 guys. And that's how they live.
But they do celebrate Mother's Day.
Yeah, everybody knows who their mother is. Okay, now, why we started digging here is because one of our divers was down there, and a lady came to him with a coin. And it's not this coin, but it was a coin. And it was a 4 real coin.
Gold or silver?
Silver. And she said, my husband found this. I would like to sell it. And he phones me up, gets hold of me, says, should I buy this coin? I said, absolutely, if she'll tell you where he found it. And so she took him down there and showed him this area. He says, my husband found it in here. So that's where we started digging. Now this is really interesting because we had a large mag hit right here. When you look at this, we also found a deck gun right here, and we found tons of ballast stones here. Now these ballast stones are kind of bad to work with because they're iron. They're rocks that had iron in them, so they set off our mags.
Magnetite.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but anyhow, it was red. And you could go and you'd work all around that. But we found our first Mayan statue here. We found 7 Mayan statues in this area. Now, ladies, your house catches on fire. What are you going to do? You're going to get out of it, aren't you? Are you going to take anything with you? Whatever you can. You're just going to grab it. If you're going to move, if you're moving, you put everything in a nice box and yada, yada, yada. This shipwreck made no sense because it was just a mixture of stuff. And that stuff was in an area 3 times the size of this room. That's not normal for a shipwreck. You'll have it on the Le Scipion. We could find the kitchen. We could find all the things for the kitchen, all the things for the captain's cupboard, all the things for up front. On this wreck, you couldn't. It was just a mess. And my brother Rick come up with a really good idea. He says, I think what happened, they hit the reef here in the hurricane. We know the ship went down in a hurricane. They hit the reef, and they're in 25, 30 feet of water because of the hurricane. And you'll see pictures of that in a minute. But when the hurricane goes out, this water's 8 feet deep. So what's going to happen to a boat that drafts 22 feet in 8 feet of water? It's going to lay over. So we think the ship laid over this way, because the waves would be pushing on it. That thing right here worked 24/7. That's a wave. Always working. It was always pushing. So we think the ship got pushed this way, so they lowered the longboats down on this side. 400 yards out, the water here is 2,000 feet deep. You get a 1-inch wave at 2,000 feet, you come in to 20 feet, that wave is 10 feet, 15 feet tall. And we believed that they were bringing this stuff out of the boat, and they got hit with what we called a sneaker, and it rolled the boat, rolled the longboat. And that's why it was they were just grabbing what they could grab to get off the boat. Next. Right here, this thing's 120 feet high. Okay, next picture, Care. Whoa, go back one.
Is that a coral atoll right there?
I'm sorry?
Is it a coral atoll right there?
No, that's a cliff.
No.
Oh, the other thing? That's part of a cliff that broke. Now, you gotta be real careful how you look at this. See this here? It looks like a cave. But you see that sipe in the top? That's an opening. That opening is about 15 feet high, 15 to 20 feet high. And when you got into it, when you came up to it, it'd be from here to the back door deep. But it went up like that. It was a gradual going up. Did you work on that with me, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. The water here, from here to there, is about 10 feet high. So that's how high this cave was. You were with me when that big rainstorm came and we saw the water coming out. And my brother maintained that this is where they're heading, that was a cave. Now that whole North Shore is just full of caves like this, and there's always a river running out of them, right? So what we believed happened is when the ship tipped, they were taking everything inside that cave in longboats. Well, you're looking at that saying, well, why? How? Because that's where they were living. They couldn't live on the boat. Now, why the sipe? Because they lived in there till they ran out of food. And as we worked on this, we started finding bones. We worked on this cave. Now, the first thing we did is we went up to the cave and looked at it, and just over on this side, there was like handprints in this red clay. I took a pickaxe to it, hit the clay, and it fell off. And all through here, it was just like somebody laid bricks, but they were white, sandy stone. We didn't know what it was. Then my brother Rob comes along and says, oh, that's volcanic ash. Seen that 1,000 times. As we would clean that out, the next morning it would kind of be all gone. The ocean was just taken away. And so we never had any rubble. Next picture, sweetheart. Now, I want you to remember this. There were survivors from this shipwreck who wrote about it. And they talked about this. But they could never find this place again. Because from the ocean side, you can't see that. It blends right in. You cannot see it until you go inside here. And they never could remember where they were. There was just a few survivors. Next picture. And there it is again. What a beautiful place, eh? This is called Preciosa.
The Caribbean is fantastic.
Oh, it is. There's a shipwreck laying here. There was another laying here. Another, you can't see it, but you can see that dark spot there. That's another shipwreck with a whole history.
So you're diving in breakwater all the time.
Yeah. Next. This is Playa Grande, but you can still see from Playa Grande Beach, you can still see the upcropping. Next. Now, this is the beginnings of a hurricane. Next. Next. This was a Cat 1 hurricane, just a Category 1.
That's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's 76 mile an hour winds. That's 120 feet. This boat came in, according to survivors, in what we would now call a Category 5 hurricane. They didn't stand a chance. It's like my buddy said, land. Oh, crap, land.
160 mile an hour.
Yeah. Well, 159 is where it starts. But who's keeping track, right? There is the top of the engine on a modern day wreck, a big steam engine. And that modern day wreck became a real mystery. Next, Carrie. All right, and there we are working. These are airlifts. Next. Now, this is Carly, Carrie's twin right here. This is Joe, and this is Alejandro, and this is Roberto. This is Roberto here. And that day, this is the center of our wreck. We knocked a pin in, so whenever we came, we could always go to the same spots. We knew where we were. We could measure everything from that. On this day, they pulled up 130 coins. Beautiful day. Also in this area, we pulled up 44 big silver discs. I brought one with me tonight. This is just a scrap disc. This one weighs 14.54 troy ounces. About $700 for the silver right there tonight.
And that was poured in a sand bowl.
Yeah, that's a splash disc. Next picture, sweetheart. Okay, now, this is really kind of cool because see all this coming down? About every 2 hours, we go over with the metal detector and sift through this because there's always stuff you miss.
Always do your tailings.
Yep. And we found lots of coins and stuff in those tailing piles, we call them. Next. And then this is your airlift just laying on the ground and the guys are digging around. But, I mean, that's how we did it. Just, we would run water up these things, or air up these things, stand them up, and then the water would follow it right up, and pretty soon you just keep watching, just like this. And you just kind of sifting through the sand that's going up. And pretty soon there's a coin in your pocket, another one. And then something falls on your head and it's a cannonball. It really hurts. Next. Now, this is what the coins looked like.
Real.
This is I don't know what real this one is. This is not an 8 real. A real is a eighth of an ounce. Okay, so an 8 real is 1 full ounce. This is either a 2 or a 4. But this coin was minted by Luis Rodriguez in the Mexico City Mint. That's what that M is for.
And that's a Spanish coin.
It is so. These are the Lions of Leon and the Castles of Castile. This is a coin from Ferdinand and Isabel's reign. That's okay, sweetheart. Luis Rodriguez was the assayer at the Mexico City Mint until 1547. So that gives us a rough date. This would take probably 2 years for that coin to get to the Dominican Republic. We know there was a ship called the San Miguel that went down in 1550. And that's the boat that we found the survivor records from. And on there it said there was 4 million pesos of silver. If this is a 2 real and a 4 real and a 3 real and a 1, a peso is 8 reals. So let's say the average weight is 2 reals. You're looking at a whole lot of coins. And it's no doubt that the kids found 130 on one pipe one day.
8 reals, they would break it half or fourths to pay.
Well, no, they would cut them all. And yes,
Wolf, are those the ones you put over here donated for?
yeah, but those are what I call scraps. You can't even read to me, they have no value. Now, I have a set of these at home that I should have brought that I valued at $27,000. And it's a 2 and a 4 real, both by Luis Rodriguez. And they're in mint condition. They're beautiful coins. And I was going to bring them, and I forgot. But then I knew you were going to be here, and I didn't want you stealing them on me. No, I'm just joking. I'm not worried. I'm not so much worried about Dennis. Dennis and Will, they're the ones you got to watch. Now, this here is really cool. Was it you that found these, or was it Carly? These pieces, they found them together, and they didn't have any idea what they were.
They're tiny.
Yeah, they're not big. They're like that. That star thing is about that big, and the round things are about that big. And we couldn't figure out what they were, and I started doing some research. Next picture. They're parts of a nose lace. Now, nose laces were really a big deal to the Mayans and the Incas because they ate cocaine. We call it cocaine. And their teeth were always rotten. Their breath smelled like a dead rat.
They chewed the leaves
Yeah.
with lime.
Yeah. And they would wear this piece of jewelry over their mouth. And it would go up in their nostrils, and those star things with the gold nails in their pierced ears. And that was what that was. That's part of a nose lace. Next, honey. This is Alejandro Selmy. He was an archaeologist that worked with us. This is part of an atlatl. An atlatl was a stick that they would cast arrows with. And they could cast them so hard they would pierce Spanish armor.
Or spears.
Yeah. But they were usually about a 20-inch arrow. Next. Now, this was the weirdest deal we found. First off, Carly, her twin sister, wore this ring, and you'll see her with that on her fingers in a few minutes. Now, this is a 2 real. See the 2 dots there? That means a 2 real. This here is different. It's a 4 real. See the 4? That coin is twice as heavy as that coin. This one here has different stuff in it. This is an older coin. And every one of these pieces has something really important about it. That piece is right here. Right there. That's a little buckle off of some guy's garter. Sailors are weird guys. But this here was a Mayan mirror. Now, up until this time, there had been 4 Mayan mirrors that had been found and recovered that were in situ. Or not, that's not the proper word for it. But they were good. They weren't all messed up and buggered up.
Did this use mercury?
No. This is quartz, gold, and pyrites. And it would take a man or a woman, whoever made it, about 2 years to make one. And they're about this big around. And the outside that you looked in the mirror with, that would be just a little bit convexed. The back was round. And I had a whole bunch of this stuff with me. And I came back to America. We had a division. We brought it back, and we were on the news with it. Got a phone call from one of my buddies. Says, "Hey, I got a lady who wants to see this crap." And she lived up by Jordanelle. And so I go up there. Her name was Nadine. And Nadine was, the reason I could always remember her name, because Hurricane Nadine was thrashing my boat at that time. And Nadine was just half a bubble off a plum. But she was a really neat lady. And she's going through all this stuff, and she would take it and hold it in her hands, and she'd say, "Oh, this guy was doing this guy was doing that." And I had stuff from 3 different shipwrecks. And she would tell me, "This guy's from this country." And I didn't tell her anything about this stuff. And she looks at that Mayan mirror, And she says, oh, that's really important. I said, it's a mirror. She says, no, Wilf, it's not a mirror. That's one thing it is, but what it really is a way to look into your soul. And I said, really? She says, yeah, you want to see it work? I said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And she says, well, tell me what I can look at, because there might be things you want me to look at. And there's a lot of things I don't want to look at. And I said, anything I did diving. Stand up. Please, stand up. I'm just going to show you what she did to me. She took that thing and put it in the palm of her hand, and she came around behind me like this, and she put it on the back of my neck, like that. And she's standing there, and she says, in one day, you were attacked by a shark and a great big fish. It's an eel. And you got hit in the back by a stingray in one day. I'd never told anybody that story except my wife. She was with me when it happened. Wow. And she says, we can look at everything. She says, you have pain right here, don't you? I said, a little bit. She says, that's the toxins coming out of the barbs of the stingray. This only happened a year and a half ago. Yeah. Now I'm a believer, right? And then she says, and you found a cave. And she's talking about the cave that Dave and I worked on. And she says, you're looking in the wrong place. Next. That's the ring. I'm going to just show you this here. Right there, that coin. They only made these for 9 months in the history of the world. Next. There it is. A 3 real. That coin is worth $37,000. We found 6 of them on that wreck site. Next. Another piece of pottery. Next. Mayan and Inca. Now, this here, they believe is Chak the Mayan rain god. 600 BC. Now, I'm not going to get religious with you. Any Mormons in the room? What happened in 600 BC?
That's when they got there.
That's when Nephi and the boys showed up. This one, they dated back to 2100 BC. What happened in 2100 BC?
Tower of Babel.
Jaredites. And it just blew my mind when it wasn't us. I'm kind of a Mormon guy, right? It wasn't me saying, oh, this is the dates of them. This was an archaeologist group who came in and said, according to everything we've dated on this, that one's 600 BC, that one's 2100 BC. Pretty amazing to think. Here we are. Down, okay, oh, go back. Next picture, sweetheart. By the way, that tall one is only that tall. It was valued at $4.1 million. Now, these are coins. This one here would be a scrap coin. This one I could clean. This one, you can see the L there and the M. We could clean that one, make it into something. This one you could probably clean up. That little 4 real there, probably clean up good. This one wouldn't. There's nothing there. This one, probably really good. And that's what you had to do, is you had to look and see where you're going to waste your time. Now, who was it that was talking about...
The difference in the markings.
Because the different coin is a different value.
No, explain why it's all worn off on
The
it.
quality.
Well, just because the ocean just beats the snot out of them. But see this here? The X? If that's a 4 real, you cut it like that, it's 1 real. So I might come to you and say, hey, I would really like dinner. You say it's going to cost you 1 real. Here's your 1 real. You find a lot of these coins are cut when we get them. Next. This here guy is right here. Now this is a copy of it. So it has no value. I sold the original for 10 grand the day I brought it home. Pass that around. This here stamp, this is the original. And you can't see it real well here. Does that look pretty clear from where you guys are? Dave, can you see that? That's pretty clear? Yep. That's Carlos's face. There's his eye. This stamp went to the Mexico City Mint April 15th, 1535. That's when it arrived. Everything that the king would own would be stamped with that stamp. And if you stole that, you're a dead guy. So on these shipwrecks, we found stuff with the stamps on them and stuff without the stamps. This piece doesn't have the stamp. This is just a piece of silver.
Fair game.
Yeah, this would be like yours. You're taking it home.
Or cut off pieces to pay for things.
Yeah, yeah, you take that home. And what we were hoping, if we could get into that cave, is that we'd find every sailor would have his own treasure that he was taking home. I found a crucifix. Yeah, am I out of time? No, 5 minutes? Okay, you guys, you're done. No. I found a crucifix one time beside a little stack of coins. You get this in your brain. The guy's down there saying his, what do you call it, Hail Mary, whatever it is. He's dying in the ocean, and he won't let go of his gold. Something wrong with that idea. Nothing in that world other than my kids should mean that much to me. Next, Care. Oh, that's a good picture out. This here, these are the pillars of Hercules. This dome means that he was under the mission of the church, the Catholic Church. This one here, that one weighed 14 and a half pounds or something. It was a big disc. We found 44 of these discs.
There's the stamp.
Yeah, and there's the kings. That's owned by the king. Next.
So that's also important because that means that that ship had not gone back home. It was fully loaded, ready to go back home, and it crashed.
Yep. Next. Be quick, sweetie. There it is. Now this one here, that looks like a monkey compared to the other one. Next. Next. That's how we found, this is called a conglomerate, and you'll find a lot of these in the ocean. Next. There's a confused sea. And you get behind that, and you're in trouble. Next. This is a bell off the Marquesas de la Galifet. Next. That's the Galifet family crest. We found that. Next. Belt buckle. All really cool stuff. Next picture. Gold is in your future. That was I got that fortune cookie twice, and then we found a gold coin. Next. Next, honey. That there coin is the size of my thumbnail, $37,000. It's what's called a bastard mule. Carlos III was the next king after Ferdinand. That's Ferdinand's picture. They didn't have a sculpture of Carlos, and so they used that, and it's a bastard mule. And there it is around the other coins he found that day. And there's her twin sister, and that necklace there was valued at $5 million.
We did not find that necklace.
No, that was found by Tracy. Next.
That was in a safe.
Yeah. And this is the Dominican in all its ugliness. Isn't that beautiful? That's called Bacardi Island. That's what we call it anyhow. Bacardi Rum came and did all their advertisements there. That's what do you call them, Carrie? A jar. Amphora, yeah. Now, this here, these are all things we found. Ring, gold, jade, Mayan mirror, silver, coin, weight. And there was a great big disc that sat there, and they took it out when we came in because they thought I was going to steal it.
And the jade and the emeralds get a white cast on them.
Yeah, we've got one in a polisher right now that Carrie's husband's polishing for me. Muskets, next. These are from La Scipione. These are the commanders. This is for putting out the
Snuffer.
yeah. Can you enlarge that? This is one of the coolest pieces we ever found. Come down. That is pure silver, and it was the pommel off of a sword. Yeah.
Or a cane head.
No, it was a sword. They were different. And when I've got that in my hand, it was just a ball of black crap. And about 4 hours, and I had it cleaned like that. There's that. Next. This is Joe. There's that big. This is Joe bringing that out. And that's how you find them. They're not laying there. You got to dig them out.
It's a silver splash disc.
Yeah, that's a silver splash disc. Next. And there's our second boat we bought. And these are all from that French wreck that I said we found the beautiful dishes. Yeah, that's what they are. Next.
That's it.
Okay. Now, I'm going to take 2 more minutes. Sorry, guys.
Tell them what this big silver dollar looking item is.
Where?
Right in front of you.
That thing?
Yes.
Nothing. I just found it at a museum. There's some of this crap I just got I got this here out of a pawn shop. But I take it to the schools, the kids love it. I got these out of a pawn shop. The kids love them too.
Hey, Jeff, talk to them about the bones and what animals they come from.
Okay.
Quick.
Yeah, we'll be really quick on this. This was in the cave. We dug in 13 feet going into the entrance of the cave that we had found, and we started finding bones. Anybody know what these might be? These are femur bones from a black bear.
Oh, really?
There are no black bears in the Dominican Republic except that one. This here is a scapula bone from a baby black bear. And when you look at it, they used to be more clear, but there are 2 tooth marks in it.
The black bears are in the Americas.
Yes.
along the main chain,
Yes, sir.
not the islands.
This here little juju deal is a pelvis bone from a nutria, which again is not indigenous. This here is this bone from a 3-toed sloth. This is the center claw. We found 15 different species of animals that are not indigenous to the Dominican Republic starting into that cave. We were just getting going and the government shut us down. But I believe that everything that was on that shipwreck is in that cave. And Dave and I came there after a rainstorm, and all the stuff we had done had caved in, and you could walk out to the edge of the ocean and you could see the water out there was this much higher than everywhere else. I walked out into that water and brought out totally fresh water. There was a freshwater river running out of that cave, and that's where they went in to hide. And the reason they could never find it again is because they couldn't find that big pillar, because you could not see it from the ocean. You could only see it from land. Interesting stuff. Anyhow, thanks guys, you've been great. Come up and look around.